It's another Tuesday news day. I am Adventure Argonaut, and this is the golden news. But before the news can start, I have to check that the streams are actually running. 2 out of 3 are working. Let's check Rumble. I think it is. Seems to be working as well. Yes, it is. Okay, let's get to the stories. I think this week we have a very unusually good news week, as it were. So let's first is FEMA. They're fucking up hurricane relief. There's all these hurricanes and floods and stuff in America, and I don't even know all the extent of the damage, but it seems to be very severe. And the current hurricane, is it Milton, is like historically big or something. And of course, FEMA, the federal emergency mumbling agency, whatever it stands for, they are screwing it up, which is no surprise because they're not even trying to help. Of course, that's not what they're there for. So yeah, there's this article from New York Post. Fed say there's no money left to respond to hurricanes after FEMA used $640 million this year on migrants. Like a joke, but it's real, so I don't know. Is it fair to laugh? Well, I can't help myself when I see stuff like it's so absurd. Fed say there's no money left to respond to hurricanes after FEMA spent $1.4 billion on migrants. What? Here it says 640 million, and here it says 1.4 billion. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna read through. Okay, because it's the agency spent more than 1.4 billion since the fall of 2022 to address the migrant crisis. And okay, and this 640 is just this year, I guess. Yes. Okay. Now that's settled, but it's confusing. Why do they do that? Anyway, so these are the priorities. Like, don't fool yourself to think that they are simply incompetent. Like, they might be incompetent, but they are also evil. That's something that people should be aware of. Most especially if you're American, but most likely whatever your nationality or whatever country you reside in, chances are that your government is evil. I'm not saying government is necessarily always evil, or historically may not always have been evil, but nowadays it is certainly the trend. So yeah, they to summarize it, is the FEMA, they want, they don't care about helping the regular American people suffering from the hurricanes and whatever. Federal Emergency Management Agency. Okay, yeah. So anyway, they don't care about the regular people, but they do want to, they just want them to perish from these natural disasters and then replace them with migrants. That's very obvious. That's what's going on. And there's like this story: helicopter pilot threatened with arrest after flying rescue missions in flood-ravaged NC. What is NC? Nincompoopia. Is it North Carolina? I guess South Carolina pilot. Yeah, North Carolina. Okay. Yes, Hurricane Helene, and now is it in Florida, like the Hurricane Milton now? Like, the funny thing, I haven't really seen any news themselves about the hurricanes. It's more like about FEMA fucking things up. That's what I see about. Yeah, so he flew stranded Hurricane Helene victims in flood-ravaged North Carolina to safety. And then he claims he was told he would be arrested if he continued the rescue mission. See, um, because is FEMA doing is like it's fair to tell him to stop if if the authorities are taking care of the people, but they're not. Because that's not their priority. That's not why they are here. Because I remember like 15 years ago, Alex Jones and people like him talking about FEMA camps. Like they're building FEMA camps and they have coffins and they're gonna put Americans there and they're gonna die there and stuff. And okay, none of that has happened. Well, the camps and the coffins I think exist, but the camps haven't been used as far as I know, and the American people have not been interred there, as far as I know. But the point was that FEMA is evil. They're not there to help you. They're not there to protect you. They're there to work against you. If you're an American person, citizen, then and that's what they are doing. Like the details of his claims might have been wrong back then, but they are the spirit was correct. And I'm not the biggest fan of Alex Jones. A lot of the stuff he says is spot on, very relevant information. But then there's lots of stuff that is kind of hokey, and then there's of course some things that he doesn't talk about that he should. Um, but that particular stuff, like it is stuck with me. The FEMA camps and everything is like and maybe because the camps were exposed, that's why nobody has really they haven't been used for anything nefarious yet. But anyway, FEMA is an evil organization. Please do not fool yourself with the dumbest idea, like don't explain incompetence with evil or some. However, the original, I really hate the whose razor is this? I don't remember. I really despise that expression because like there's lots of evil, but they like to pretend to be incompetent every now and then. And there's this Hurricane Helene victims received $750. Each Israeli citizen has received the equivalent of 7,500 this year alone. Your government hates you. It's very well said. Yeah, so they are giving 750 to family members affected by Hurricane Helene. And also, I've seen some claims that the 750 is a loan, so they even have to pay it back. And Israel has gotten over 45 billion in taxpayer money in the last year alone. That's crazy. So please do vote for Donald Trump. He surely will fix this. You know. Yeah, maybe Kamala would be better. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not the one to solve this problem. I can only point out these facts and I encourage you to think outside the box. That's all I'm gonna say about this. And there's this, not sure if this is true, but reports that a FEMA director who was acting arrogant and denying aid to North Carolina flood victims was beaten by local residents. The incident occurred 20 miles south of Asheville. Yeah, I don't know if who this thing is. I just saw this, so I just wanted to point it out. And then, like, we go to sort of stuff adjacent to this FEMA fiasco. So the Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman, she said, "Yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done." And it is true, and this, of course, is being fact checked by the notes. Weather manipulation is possible at small scales, for example, cloud seeding. However, weather patterns in general are naturally occurring and cannot be controlled. Hurricanes and other large storms cannot be created artificially with modern technology. So I don't know, like the extent, because she's not responding to anyone. At least he or she is not making the claim that the hurricanes have been made artificially. Because I'm not saying that, definitely not. I don't know if they could do hurricanes like, theoretically. Sure, I do think it would be possible at least sometime in the future, assuming that technology keeps developing. English, please. But I have no idea if it's possible nowadays. Like probably not, and it's an extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, and I do think it's an extraordinary claim, but doesn't mean it's necessarily untrue. However, so anyway, so yes, they can control weather. There is cloud seeding, and like it says here, and I remember like back in the Beijing Olympics, like 2008, like on Finnish mainstream media, they said about like they put some stuff into the clouds, I guess cloud seeding, to prevent rain, to make the Olympics work better and stuff. And it is like we're like you don't hear much about that in the mainstream media, like any kind of like geoengineering. It is a thing, and I don't know the extent. And of course, there's all these so-called conspiracy theories about HARP and how it can supposedly induce earthquakes and who knows what. And I'm not an expert in climatology or these affairs, so that's why I am interested in it, but I lack the understanding of these matters. But I'm just very skeptical of anybody who claims to know that no, it's definitely impossible, or like yeah, they're definitely doing it. I'm skeptical. But the fun part is that Sarah Silverman, just Jewish comedian, says that you're an anti-Semitic pig when Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, they can control the weather. Like she didn't tag any particular people, and Sarah Silverman is accusing her of being anti-Semitic. So is it like, are Jews controlling the weather? Like, is Sarah Silverman controlling the weather or something? Like, is she the weather witch or something? This is very strange. And yeah, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, at least in this, I haven't been provided a context. Like maybe she had been in some argument with somebody else about, maybe she did make some outrageous claims. I don't know, but at least there is no falsehood here. It is true that weather can be controlled to a certain extent. Like if it implies like it's total control, like of course they cannot do that. I don't think so. But anyway, it is weird that Sarah Silverman would react to this in this manner. And let's move to the next story. How the hell does the director of public affairs of FEMA lock their Twitter account during an emergency? So it says Jacqueline Rothenberg, who is, I think, is shares some ethnicity with Sarah Silverman, and she's protected her Twitter account because like you'd like to be able to communicate with her in this emergency, right? And yeah, here's a picture of her. Like, is that thing human? Come on, man, make this traitor famous. And then there's this short clip regarding climate control, because I do think people should be talking about it, because like I said, I am very skeptical of anybody who says that no, definitely we cannot create hurricanes, or if somebody says like yeah, definitely there are artificial hurricanes. Like I think both claims are very extreme in some sense, and I don't know what the truth is. So let's listen to this Michio Kaku, the Japanese string theory theoretical physicist, is talking about it.
Researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really? To change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning. Go ahead.
Well, I
Okay, so that's the story so far. So I think this clip is probably few years old at least. I don't know how old, so I don't know if the technology that he's talking about, if it's actually in use, or maybe they found out it doesn't work or whatever. And Michio Kaku, I think he's a theoretical physicist, unless he's changed his profession or something. And I think theoretical physics is sort of like coming up with cool ideas that may not have much to do with reality. Sort of like was episode a plot for a Star Trek episode. Like it has cool ideas, but it may not be very scientifically accurate. So maybe this is the same thing. But just to point out that not even the mainstream, Michio Kaku and CBS News, they don't consider it as some crazy science fiction conspiracy theory, creating climate control with lasers and stuff. Like who knows what actual technologies they have that we don't really know about. Then again, on the other hand, maybe the elites that the globalist elites, as they say, maybe they do have maybe they want us to think that they can create hurricanes, so we'd be afraid of them, but maybe they don't have that power. Like it's possible in that way sense as well. I just wanted to show it. And also shout out to Outer Light. This channel talks about all sorts of interesting issues. Yeah, go check him out if you haven't heard about him. And then we can finally move on to the next story. Let's see my notes. Did I have some? I think I still had something. Yeah, and the it reminds me of like the Fukushima incident in Japan. And is it like 12 years ago already? Was it 2011? No, it's just 13 years. I don't know. It's damn, time goes so fast. Anyways, during the Fukushima incident, I think the first responders to help the people suffering from the earthquakes and stuff were not the government, they were Yakuza. I think they, gave people fast noodles and water and stuff. Just thinking of this helicopter pilot who was helping people since the government couldn't. But at least I think in Japan, the government did eventually help the people, unlike FEMA. In America now, it seems very unwilling or unable to do so. But like still, the first responders were organized crime. Just think about that. I guess the difference between mafia or yakuza and government is that the former is organized crime and government is disorganized crime. Thank you. I'm here all week. Yeah, let's go to the next story. So the Mexican president wants Spain to apologize. The AI took some privileges generating this image. I didn't want that like too accurate pictorial representation of the Mexican president, because that's her Claudia Scheinbaum, who is of course of Jewish ancestry, and she demands that Spain to officially apologize for colonial mistreatment. At least according to this, like I couldn't a brief internet search didn't give me any articles on it, but I haven't seen any claims. There's no like a fact check saying that this is not true. And she speaks Spanish here. I don't speak much Spanish, but this is well, in some sense, I do think it's the debate between Spain like 600 years ago and the Aztecs and Mayans, all that stuff, and Incas, and it is an interesting debate, like who was really in the wrong and all of that, because I think you can make an argument for both, that the Spanish were brutal and they shouldn't have destroyed these societies, but then again, you can, especially like Aztecs, you can make the argument that Aztecs. Oh, this okay. That the Aztecs were really brutal and their civilization deserved to be destroyed, and so on. But personally, I am very I like the Aztecs, not in the sense that I'm not saying I condone their practices of human sacrifice or anything like that. But I do think they were an interesting society, and they themselves did not see them. They weren't simply bloodthirsty. I don't think so, because they actually believed that their human sacrifices basically prevented the end of the world. And the Aztecs are no longer doing the sacrifices. And just look at all the storms happening in the United States right now. Coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. But ultimately, like, who can truly know like the extent of the sinful behavior of either side of the conflict between the Spanish or the Castilians and the Aztecs back then, because it happened more than half a millennium ago, and was basically a war zone. So it's very easy that in cases like this, the whole message gets distorted in one way or another. But anyway, so her this isn't supposed to be a history stream, but I have to mention some history because of her, because the this official apology for colonial mistreatment is, of course, is bullshit. um, like what people did hundreds of years ago is, of course, historically it's relevant, and we shouldn't ignore it, but also like it's different. Let's say the Iraqis have a different can have a should have a different view, like a different gripe towards America, because America invaded Iraq just 20 years ago or so, but compared to, I don't know, like well, this conflict that happened 600 years ago, or well, a bit over 500, whatever, or whatever conflict. My mind is drawing a blank. Just the let's say the war between England and France, where Joan of Arc, Jeanne d'Arc, was supposedly part in it and stuff. Like this is different, because there are still people who experienced the American assault in Iraq, or half of them are in Europe by now, and then something that happened hundreds of years ago, and nobody is alive to have suffered from it, or like the transatlantic slave trade. None of the people who were slaves back then, they're not alive anymore. So it's idiotic to force apologies. Like you can be, it is like you can take it as a, like if you're looking at the history of your own nation or something, there certainly will be some parts of it, some eras, some aspects of your own history that you're not so proud of, and nationalists often like to ignore those or pretend they didn't happen. So in that sense, but it's not so easy to just say that, oh, Spain was bad, and that wasn't even Spain, that was Castilla, when they first colonized South America and stuff. But anyways, like, but let's assume that Claudia, not Gloria, for some reason I think it's Gloria, Claudia Scheinbaum, like, you know, what if we hold her to her the um, same principles as she is holding Spain? Like, how about her ancestors? Like, should they apologize? So, like, here, this guy Sam Parker points out, like, Claudia Sheinbaum and Alejandro Mayorkas are about to control both sides of U.S. Mexico, Google Gates of Toledo to find out more. So yeah, and somebody, I think, was it here, said that. And yeah, Jake Shield says she should apologize for usury, misspelled usury. And yeah, somebody, I think somewhere, said that she should apologize for the Gates of Toledo. And here is the historical event. The Jews that opened the gates of Toledo. During the 7th and 8th centuries, Iberia, Spain, and Portugal was a divided kingdom ruled by the Catholic Visigoths. The region was home to a Jewish minority who suffered intolerable persecution under these Christian rulers. Blah 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 blah. So, uh, where is the yeah, in the spring of 711, a Muslim army invaded Iberia led by Tariq ibn Ziyad, serving the Arab governor Musa ibn Nuzair at Guadalete. They swiftly defeated Roderick Lutharic, the Visigoth king, and then marched northward to the Visigoth capital of Toledo. Both Latin and Arabic chroniclers record that the Jews of the city opened the gates of Toledo to Tariq, who conquered the city. Yeah, so yeah, she should apologize for this. Um, she should also apologize for coin clipping. Because do you know why coins have ridges? I guess we can just. I want to show you coin ridges. Why do coins have ridges? Like this. Why do they have them? It's because of coin clipping, like, shaving parts of the silver or whatever metal the coin is made of. And yeah, in 1278, all Jews of England were arrested in coin clipping scandal. Some 680 Jews detained in the Tower of London, with more than 700 subsequently executed on suspicion of coin clipping. She should apologize for coin clipping because of her ancestors. Like, I don't think it's fair to force you to apologize for what your ancestors did, but this is the world we live in. So let's just have equity or something when it comes to scenes. Oh yeah, and this is mayor of Chipalchingo, Mexico, has been decapitated after 6 days in office. Mexico is literally run by a Jew now. Coincidence? I don't think so. Well, I don't know if this is just necessarily has anything to do with her ethnicity, but there were lots of murders prior to the election, just a few months ago when it happened. And yeah, persecution of Jews during Black Death. So when the bubonic plague was a thing, there were accusations of Jews poisoning wells, and so she should apologize for it. Even mainstream history says it's all bullshit, but I find it a bit odd that this is the stance that the historians take, because like, none of us were there when these things happened. So I think it's like it's prudent to have like take sort of a centrist position in this, because this happened almost 1,000 years ago, and 800, whatever, almost 1,000 years ago. And there were accusations in many places in Europe of Jews doing this sort of stuff, or human sacrifice and blood, drinking the blood of children and stuff like that. Like, surely some of them are fabrications, but maybe there were actually some cases of that where individual Jews did do some heinous crimes. But it's sort of weird that you assume that no, Jews are somehow better, they cannot do horrible crimes, but other people can. This is just strange view to it, in my opinion. So yeah, well, poisoning accusations. Yeah, I'm not gonna read. Well, this isn't that much text, but this is not supposed to be a history stream, but I still have to mention some history because we are talking about the sins of your ancestors, and this isn't like the only case. Of course, like fuck, there was some case that some leftists wanted Finland to pay reparations for the transatlantic slave trade because some of the tar made in Finland was used in some slave ships allegedly. And Finland was basically enslaved by Sweden back then. Yeah, it was Sweden, not really Russia at that point. And then there's blood libel. So there's many cases of allegations in Europe that Jews ritually murdered children or and took their blood or something. And I'm sure there are many of these allegations that are fake, but maybe not all of them. And it's like, especially relating to Spain in Castilla, around this, I think it's around the same time as the discovery of Americas in 1492. There was some in Spain. There was some allegations of this blood libel stuff, and that also, I think, that partially led to the creation of the Spanish Inquisition and the Torquemada, who became famous. So it's like, how do we know it's all fake or not? Like, just to be sure, I think Claudia Scheinbaum should apologize for it, in case it's not all wrong. Yeah, the blood libel. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through all of this. Yeah. Let's just, and then there's one more thing. Like, yeah, Sarah Silverman. Back to her. There's this quote: "I hope the Jews killed Christ. I'd do it again in a second." Like, and this is Snopes, of course, saying that um, the claim is that Sarah Silverman said that, but she didn't. She actually said that in her stand-up performance, "Jesus is Magic," the comedian joked that the Jews killed Jesus and she would do it again. So it's not literally what she said, but it's basically what she said. So maybe they should apologize for this as well. Okay, then let's move to the next story. Thanks, Claudia. Because hey, I don't want to talk about any anti-Semitic stuff. That's not me. I don't want to blame. Like, there are bad Jews, there are good Jews, but like, if she tries to bring, you know, blame a whole nation like that, then it's like it's fair. Like, fight fire with fire. You know what they say. So uh, there's a claim that the cocaine in White House was Kamala Harris's. To be sure, to be honest, I'm not quite sure how trustworthy this claim is. This claim is it's just some whistleblower.
The
Yeah,
big scandal is this would cause a major problem.
So it was Harris who brought the cocaine?
No, but the cocaine was brought in for Harris. Someone from the staff brought it. Clearly, some high-ranking staffer.
so yeah, this guy, but we don't know who it is. For all I know, is some actor hired to make the claim for, or just some guy who wanted attention. But it is interesting, like, if the cocaine that I think was last year was found in the White House, and people speculated that it was Hunter Biden's, but maybe it was Kamala's, according to this guy. I just think it's interesting claim. Was this? Yeah, this is not related to the coke. Well, maybe it is. So while America is suffering from the hurricanes and stuff, um, Kamala tweets this: "The people of Lebanon are facing an increasingly dire humanitarian situation. I am concerned about the security and well-being of civilians suffering in Lebanon and continue to be working to help meet all needs of all civilians there. And United States will provide 157 million additional assistance to blah blah blah." So it's like, okay, I don't think it's bad because isn't Israel attacking Lebanon or something? I think that's what she's talking about. So I don't think it's bad to help the Lebanese. I have nothing against them, but it's like, she's she's trying to become the president of United States, and it's like, oh, let's help this country on the other side of the world, and instead of the because our country is suffering, and FEMA doesn't have enough money to help them. Let's give more money to this foreign nation. It's ridiculous. But the funny thing is that doesn't really matter. And it's like, some people say that, yeah, here, if the cocaine was hers, she may have just thrown away her little chances of winning she had. But it's like, does it really matter? Because the people who would vote for her, they either don't even hear about this claim, assuming it's true, or like if they hear about it, then they will say like, oh, it's just conservative propaganda, Russian bots, blah blah, or something like that. So they will just ignore it. Doesn't matter. And how fair are elections nowadays? That's all I'm gonna say about that. Like, just vote harder. That's gonna fix it, right? Then let's go to the next story. White men are a threat to EU. I think this image is interesting, but let's get to this story. So there's some ECFR report. What is? I'm gonna check later what it actually is. This ECFR, blah blah blah. But whiteness and Europeanness a danger to EU, ECFR report claims. Rather than citing economic or energy issues faced by the EU, the report blamed, among other things, how white the MEPs, members of European Parliament elected by EU citizens, are following the 2024 European Parliament elections in June. Such whiteness, it continued, said to leave Muslims and other individuals with migrant backgrounds feeling alienated. Wait, are you saying that native Europeans cannot convert to Islam? How bigoted are you? Diversity is the future. It's this Fjällräven and Kjanken is like Swedish company that's very, I don't know, hipster girls. It's not hipster, like, I don't know. Well, women like this brand. Um, okay, it's European Council on Foreign Relations. Okay, CFR. Okay, now I get it. Yeah, CFR is those one of those old school globalist think tanks, and I guess this is the European version of it. Um, but yeah, so it's the same and but different in America. Like in America, they want the hurricanes to wipe out the native population and replace it with migrants, and here they're just, I don't know, in Europe they're doing different ways of doing it. It's like same shit has been going on for a while. It's like it's just almost like the people in charge are like, like they're tired of being assholes, and they're just like, come on, like they're insulting the Western people, like like, yeah, you're scum, we hate you, and we wanna get rid of you and stuff. And they sort of want the people to rise up and shove them into ditches and stuff. But like so far the Western people in aggregate are very passive and asleep and stuff. Maybe it's gonna change, and of course it's mentioned something about right wing parties like uh, Alternative für Deutschland are becoming more popular and stuff. And I just hope that these so-called right-wing parties that they actually practice what they preach, that they're not just there to pay lip service to stuff and then don't do anything useful. Okay, and this is the last story of let's say proper adult news, and then we can move to some gaming news. I have a couple of stories. So first, Ubisoft is reeling, or just Ubisoft is in trouble, which is nice. It's very nice. There's the Star Wars Outlaws didn't do well, and Assassin's Creed Yasuke or whatever it's called is getting postponed until the February Black History Month. It's Black History Month only in America. It's not in fucking Japan or France, as far as I know. It's only American holiday. This Black History stuff, and it's a French company allegedly, Ubisoft. Anyways, let's read some stuff. So this is Stevie Chazard. This is the monetization director at Ubisoft. So he should be about money. So I rarely post on social media, but today I am sad, ashamed and sad. The gaming industry is rough at the moment. We all know it. But seeing how gamers, quote unquote, react to social media, wishing ill fate to companies and people alike is sad. And not only towards Ubisoft. Even though it is always the vocal minority that express themselves in social media, I was hurt and ashamed to be part of this community. It's like I'm part of. I really doubt this guy is a gamer. Like maybe he plays something at some so he can say he's a gamer. But I really doubt that this is an actual gamer. That for me, like sometimes I think like, oh, maybe my life would be better if I didn't play video games. I had more time to do other stuff and save some money and so on. Even though nowadays I try to buy most of my games, on heavy discounts in bundles and so on. But anyways, but I can't just get rid of games. They always I always get back to the gaming chair, even though I try to leave. Anyway, so what is even more revolting is coming on LinkedIn. Yeah, yes, I agree. It's disgusting going on LinkedIn and seeing the same comments from people within the industry. On top of exposing yourself as a clearly non-decent human being, you're affecting thousands of employees that are already impacted by all the hate, despite doing their best to deliver incredible experience. Like this comment wants me to, say something really naughty about this guy that yeah, it's just yeah. Well, I'm just gonna say he's the non-decent human being. It's like, oh my god, there's multinational corporation and its employees that hate every normal human being who isn't part of their political or rather like modernist religion of insanity. Like they hate them and they basically want to castrate your children and kill you and so forth. But like if you're happy that your enemy suffers, like, oh my god, you're so horrible. Because like yeah, thousands of employees, like this guy doesn't give a fuck about my monetary problems or my me having to pay the rent or my job or whatever, or anybody or yours or anybody else's, unless it's their part of their clique. So shut the fuck up, Stevie. How can you wish a company to fail simply because they do not cater to you or that the product does not please you is beyond me. Well, it's not it's not that they don't cater to me. Like, I haven't, the only Ubisoft game that I really played in, I don't know, over a decade is Rainbow Six Siege. I used to play it for quite a while, then I got tired of it, and now I hear that it's, the updates have made it really bad, so I don't want to get back to it. But I haven't played any Assassin's Creed except the first one a bit. I thought like, oh, maybe I'll try them, but I never got around to it. It's too much like, slop. AAA has been slop for a long time, like before they went woke and stuff. So we are all on the same boat. Please stop spreading hate. Blah blah blah. So okay, give me money or something. Why should I care about these people that despise everything that I like, and anything that used to be considered normal just a couple of decades ago. Like they want to subvert it or destroy it and stuff, which includes video games. Um, so why shouldn't I rejoice when they suffer? Because I do. Like, although, like, there is some bitterness. It's bitter in the sense that it doesn't really fix the problem. It's like, it's sad that this problem had to exist to begin with. It's like, um, let's say, like, you keep adding pieces of rat poison to your morning coffee, and then you get sick every day, and you keep doing it for 10 years, and every day you are sick, and then finally somebody says like, hey, stop putting rat poison in your coffee, and then you stop being sick, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's nice, you're no longer sick, but why did you have to suffer for 10 years for just something stupid? That's basically the whole situation with what is going on. So, like, why did we have to go this far? Why didn't we stop the problem before it got too bad? Anyways, and then there's rumors about Tencent buying Ubisoft, and it's like, it's nice to see Ubisoft die, but it's just gonna become a zombie that maybe it's gonna be better in some respects, but it still won't be good if Tencent buys it. And Ubisoft, I hated Ubisoft long before it went woke. Like, whenever I think of Ubisoft, I think of this story. Ubisoft steals reloaded crack to fix its own game. So let's just read the article. It's from 2008. Like, I probably heard about this like a year or two after it had happened, but I managed to find this old article. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas 2 has been released exactly 4 months ago. Until last week, a lot of users suffered from copy protection related problems. To fix those problems, Ubisoft opted to release copy protection removing patch for the game. This is a bit unusual, especially with Ubisoft's history of restrictive copyright usage. But is it newsworthy? Only if it turns out that Ubisoft used an illegal no-CD crack written by famous cracking group Reloaded as a fix for their own game. The file in question was released by Ubisoft as a fix for the direct-to-drive version of Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas 2. When the file is checked using a hex editor, Reloaded's signature is clearly visible in the file's header. Yeah, here, I guess. I assume, yeah. Ubisoft has since pulled off the file and said that the matter is being thoroughly investigated by senior tech support managers. Ubisoft UK community manager added that, needless to say, we do not support or condone copy protection circumvention methods like this, and this particular incident is in direct conflict with Ubisoft's policies. So yeah, so their own programmers, copy protection stuff, fucked up their game. A pirate software, pirate hacker, whatever, managed to fix it, and instead of in and Ubisoft's own programmers were too incompetent to fix it or just too lazy, so they just copy pasted what this hacker did, and didn't even erase the trace. So it's like, this fucking company deserved to go bankrupt 15 years ago. This is just atrocious. And I don't know how many people know about this or remember this story, but for me, it's basically like people complain about Ubisoft as it's this company. Like, come on, man. And it's just disgusting. Okay, let's get to the last story of the week and the night. Silent Hill 2 remake sells well. I know this particular image isn't so Silent Hill, but from the batch of images I generated for it, this was the coziest. I like the atmosphere in the picture. So let's have a look. Bluebird Team Silent Hill 2 Remake is currently number 4 top selling game on Steam globally. And I don't know if it's went even higher up after this article. This is from like a couple of days ago. And with 95% overwhelmingly positive reviews, early access is now live. So yeah, it's only early. Well, okay. If it was early access at this point, like of course, the people who buy the premium edition or whatever early access edition, they are likely to be more like fanboys who are very like have buyer's remorse. Like even if it was bad, and it doesn't seem to be bad, uh, they would convince themselves to think it was good, and because they don't want to admit that they spent, I don't know, 60-70 bucks on this game, and even if it's mediocre or whatever. um but yeah, I am very much against this idea of remaking Silent Hill 2. Like it is certainly is one of the best horror games out there that I've played, and a lot of people seem to agree. But I don't think it needed a remake. Most games nowadays that they make remakes for, I don't think they need a remake. Like, why don't you make a new game? And like, why didn't you make PT, the game that had a tech demo? Was it like 10 years ago already? When was PT? Was it PT? Like sort of unofficial Silent Hill, but it was cancelled for some reason, even though everybody was excited about it. Like, why can't you just make a new like Silent Hill 75 or whatever the number would be, or start a new franchise like Resident Hill or Silent Evil or something like. Why do you have to make remakes, and why do people buy it? Like, I do understand that seeing triple A slop nowadays is probably on the better end, but still, there are plenty of games out there. Like, you don't have to just keep buying triple A games. There are plenty of like indie games or a bit older games and stuff that you probably haven't played that are really good. That don't get the attention they deserve, such as Shadows of Doubt, the game I streamed yesterday. I will stream it tomorrow as well. It doesn't get the attention it deserves. Like, it's not perfect. It has its bugs and stuff. But Shadows of Doubt is a detective uh, murder solving procedurally generated simulator game, and it's quite fun. And but it's everybody should be talking about this because it's something unique and interesting. And this is like a game that came out 2001, and I played it like I got it from a friend, like loaned it. He said like, "Oh, you have to play it. It's really good." And it's like I wasn't that interested. I had only played like the demo of first Silent Hill. Wasn't that interested, and but then I played it, and yeah, it is good. And afterwards, I want to play the Silent Hill 1 as well. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. So yeah, here's some comparisons, like the original and this, like especially like, yeah, why does she have this kind of chin? And it's like people like this. I don't remember the names. Like I remember how the characters look, but I don't really remember any of their names or anything. It's like it looks like David Duchovny, Fox Mulder from X Files. But this picture isn't as bad. I've seen some worse pictures before. Um, and this, I don't know. I'm not very convinced by the visuals. And yeah, this guy, they might have done James and Eddie well, but these two are straight up downgrade. I don't remember who is James or Eddie. I really don't remember the names. Um, but like my argument is like, okay, it seems it's a decent game, but like I said, make a new game, because I really don't want to support these practices that it's like the movie industry has been doing it for almost 2 decades now, that they just reboot old stuff or make remakes and so on instead of making new. And now it's in the past few years it's been the games industry. It's like, why? Because I think the original Silent Hill 2 is still good, it's very good still. Like I don't think it needed a remake. It's functional game. Like maybe I don't know if it's available on any other platform than PlayStation 2. Then I understand if you don't have a PlayStation 2, or maybe the game itself costs like $600 nowadays. In that sense, sure, I can understand that people want it to be re-released on more modern platforms, but they could just make a remaster, not a remake. There's a difference, and I'm a big, and they have changed things. You can see this chin, like this man chin. If the original had a man chin, it would be different. But this is DEI. There's no getting around the fact that this is wokeness. Even though maybe it hasn't ruined the whole game, but it has affected it. It is kind of censorship. It's like it's not simply old school censorship is like we just won't show something, like we're gonna cut off this scene from a movie or something. But now it's like they alter it. I guess it's sort of the Star Wars movies started this, like instead of just censoring stuff, we're gonna change things or add something that wasn't there, like the Star Wars movies when they added all that CGI crap. So and I'm yeah I just have my doubts, like even though like there probably are some aspects of this new Silent Hill 2 remake that are better than the original, but it's still I fear that they change some things such as this, which goes against the spirit of the original. And I have a few Steam reviews here. I just wanna, like, vast majority of them are positive, but there's some negative ones, and I usually pay attention to negative Steam reviews. Like if it's a game that I really wanna buy myself, I see like what are the reasons that people don't like about the game. I think it usually speaks more than what people when people like it. Especially if people like a game, they say like, "Oh, it's really good, yeah, yeah," and that's all. They don't really uh, dig deep into what is bad about the game. So yeah, let's read this. Not bad, but it feels like a game based off of Silent Hill 2 movie than a remake. Less David Lynch via Jacob's Ladder and more movie. Almost everything is completely different, though some of the cutscenes are nearly the same. First Pyramid Head scene, far too much combat, which is really janky. I appreciate the effort, but who played Silent Hill for the combat? Well, actually, I like the combat in Silent Hill 2, in the sense that the both the sound, the radio sound when the enemies approach, and their disgusting appearance made you disgusted. You really want to destroy the enemies, and then you feel good beating them to a pulp with a steel pipe or something. In that sense, the combat was nice. Of course, the controls weren't there so crisp or anything. But anyways, it's the same script, mostly well acted, but the off-putting strangeness is gone from the performances. Except Eddie, he's different too, but in a lesser way. Locations are all almost completely different. You may like that. So far, nothing even slightly close to the original, save a few rooms and some references to things that were there in the original. Feels almost like a different game cosplaying as Silent Hill 2. It's not bad, I'm just disappointed. 7 out of 10. Edit looks great through credit where credit is due, but really should have shipped with DLSS3 and FSR3, whatever. But yeah, this like if this guy is accurate in his words that the locations are really different, that's strange to me. Well, let's check this one. I highlighted some bits of this I wanted to read. I posted no based on it being a remake. Is it a good contemporary horror game? Yes. Is it a good remake of Silent Hill 2? Not really. There are design and performance issues, story additions and subtractions, change intentions and meaning. Subtlety or the more uncomfortable elements have been a bit sanitized. Yeah, that's something that, some sexual themes that I don't think were very obvious in the original, anyways. Like back when I played it, when it was new, I probably didn't understand a lot of the story and stuff. I just like the atmosphere and the creepiness and stuff. Um, but this is like the because the woke people who still run our industries, they don't like anything too sexual unless it's like some really perverse sexuality. So yeah, that's sanitized. I don't know the extent of it, but it sounds like censorship, and I've had this principle, ever since the 90s, that I don't want to buy any game that has been censored if I can get around it or anything. But yeah, the game is very loud, doesn't understand or respect the concept of silence. Yeah, so yeah, homogenizing Silent Hill 2 into this new contemporary form doesn't work nearly as well for me. Yeah, because so he or whoever this person doesn't like popular horror games in general, but loved classic Silent Hill 1 to 4. Yeah, I've only played 1 and 2. Um, yeah, I'm wondering like what is considered contemporary popular horror games, because my impression is that nowadays a lot of them are like you don't have any weapons or anything, and I don't like it either. Like you're just supposed to hide or run away from the monster and stuff, and I don't know. It's like you feel like you're a weak victim, and no, not a fan of that. Anyways, I like this fun comment. P.S. Giving me a Chester award doesn't make me wrong. Yeah, because on Steam you can give awards for some stickers, like some Reddit stuff. Don't really understand it myself. And yeah, but it's like there's lots of people who get offended when you criticize a game they like. This is just annoyed me for a long time. Like even some friends, like sometimes, like long time ago, I posted a Steam review for some game, and I said I didn't like it, annoyed me, and then somebody started complaining to me in real life, like, "Oh, how can you say that?" It's like, yeah, it's like it's cultist mentality. Okay, the last review that I have here. Okay, from what I played, is pretty good. Original is my favorite game, and this should be an easy recommend. But wow, this PC port is bad. Unreal Engine 5 continues to prove itself as the worst optimized modern graphics engine. There are frequent traversal stutters. They become increasingly and significantly more annoying. Common in Silent Hill itself. There are occasional white banding artifacts from heavy occlusion culling that can break immersion. The worst of the offender is the ghosting. It made me wonder if the QA testers even had eyes. Floating leaves, shoes, entire characters, whatever moves can and will cause ghosting artifacts on the ground and the puddles that use lumen reflection. So yeah, there's some technical issues and some, let's say, like some story issues, according to some people. It's just like, so yeah, my point is just like, when it comes to a remake like this, like it better be better in pretty much every respect. And I do believe that, in many respects it is better, but it's like, did it really, like, I think it was classic. It's considered classic for a reason. So why do you have to remake it? Like, I think if you remake games, you should make remake games that weren't so good but had potential. Like, maybe they had really good ideas, but I don't know. Were some levels that really were annoying, or like, one thing was that, like, back in the early 90s and stuff, or 80s, many games didn't have a save function, or even a level code function. So you had to complete the whole game on a one sitting. Like, usually if you knew what you were doing, you could do it in a few hours, but if you didn't, then it could take a long time. Or like, if you died in the last level, then you have to start from the beginning. Stuff like that, especially if the last level has some complete bullshit in it. Like, I don't know, it's like, just why do you need to remake something that works? Like, if it works, don't fuck with it. That's the old saying. So yeah, I'm against remakes, in case you didn't hear it after me repeating it 75 times. It's like, just why. But yeah, that was the last story for the night. So yeah, and to recap, yeah, remember FEMA and similar agencies in whatever your country is they're not there to help you. That's not what they're doing. And the same is the games industry is not there to give you. They're not there to give you good games or good entertainment or something. They're more to, push some propaganda and fleece your wallet by doing it. That's their intention, what they want to do. So I don't know, like, yeah, I just find it, frankly, I find it depressing that so many people are just buying, especially pre-ordering this remake. Just, don't you have anything else to play? Come on, man. But that's it. I'm Adventure Argonaut. I thank you for watching. Bye bye.